Hello, I'm Martin Mercer.
And I'm James Mastriani.
You've never heard of us.
We're two Brits who grew up in North London and have had varying success in the film and television industry.
In our ever-advancing age, we find ourselves on
the wrong side of Hollywood.
In our series of podcasts, we'll share our experiences of what it's like being a British bloke living and working,
Or not.
in the biz.
We'll discuss everything from fish and chips to things that wind us up.
So stay with us, it's all uphill from here.
This podcast may contain strong language. If you're of a sensitive nature or easily offended, we invite you to, as they say in Blighty, jog on.
Hello.
Hi, this is a first, isn't it?
It is. We're doing a little bit of a change up, as they say. We're going to be on YouTube, and also we decided to do side by side, just to get more into each other's faces and get more close to you, our beloved audience.
Yeah, and then you can see what we really go through.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, crap, I left my tea over there.
What?
Carry on.
Run along. So we're doing our Dunk Love.
Dunk, 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 dunk love!
Now, this week, I'm treading on very dangerous waters. I've just come back from Britain seeing my lovely mum. And when I come back here, my mum gives me 2 slabs wrapped in silver foil.
Yes, she does.
And they are a fruitcake. And she gives one to me and
The big one to me.
horrifyingly a big slice of it to James. And I've always have to watch her and make sure that mine is bigger than James's, pardon the expression. But it does worry me because sometimes I'm like, no, Mum, we're going to have to swap the labels. But anyway, Mum makes this lovely fruitcake. Here it is, homemade. Look at that.
Oh, there's a bit falling off that.
Don't touch it. Now, I thought what I'd do, and just to test my mum's love, was I went to the Dutch marketplaces. In Britain, we have nurseries, and these nurseries, they sell plants and statues and lumber and anything you need for your garden, but also they have shops filled with delicacies and tea shops. And anyway, so this is called a Genoa cake, and it's kind of similar to my mum's. Now, there you are, James. I'm going to give you...
You touched that.
Right. I didn't want to give you this bit because this has got a bigger bloody cherry in. You're a pain in the arse.
Here, I'll grab that bit.
Right, but there you go. Look,
You grab that bit. There you go.
so delicate. Anyway, so now we can see this is the store-bought one, as they would say here.
And this is Roz's one.
Right, so now we're going to do a test. We're going to sample each one.
I think I know who's won.
Really?
I do.
Yeah, so do I. Well done, Mum.
Thanks, Roz.
Okay, so here we go.
All
So
right.
this is Mum's.
Oh.
What?
It fell out of my hand. It went on the floor.
Well, he dropped it on the floor. He's absolute useless, isn't he?
I'll save that for the cat.
Mm.
All right, all right. Coming back. All right, bit of Roz's.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now you see, you have the texture's quite coarse.
Yeah, but that's what makes it good.
Don't start took-us-lacking my mum.
I'm not took-us lacking your mum. I love your mum.
Right.
Roz, if you're watching.
We'll leave it at that. But it's quite a coarse texture to the pastry. And then you get the hit of the glacé cherries. She puts glacé cherries in. And you've got the raisins. Considering this has travelled 5,500 miles and been in the fridge, it's actually very nice.
Yeah, very nice.
And then the
Now-
trick is just to moisten it a bit.
Yeah, you see, I'm not going to dunk it because I've got mint tea down here, so I'm not gonna
No,
have
you
that.
don't dunk.
No.
That will just crumble.
Mhm.
You'll have an asteroid belt in now. So
Very nice.
it's very nice, very comforting.
Mhm.
Mum is cooking. Sometimes when I feel a bit down, I'll get out a little slice and indulge. Right, now, when I'm in Blighty, we go to Trent Park. Trent Park's a very nice park in North London, and they have a cafe, and they sell this cake, which is from the Dutch nursery. Now, as you can see, the pastry's more yellow.
Mhm.
And okay, here we go. Interesting.
What do you think? Hang on, I'm going to tuck in.
Yeah. Well, you can take, there's orange peel in it.
Oh, yeah, there is.
Yeah.
There's also a bit, and nothing on your mum,
Oh,
it's a little bit more moist.
okay.
But I think that's because it's been in the fridge.
Yeah.
But
Are you saying that my mum's cake is not as moist as you like it?
No, I'm not.
Now, I've got to be honest, I do like this.
Oh, right.
Sorry, Mum. I do like this.
I'll have his next time.
No.
You can bring one from the Dutch,
No,
and
no,
I'll
no.
take his
No,
one
no, no,
away from
good.
him. I'll have that.
I do like this. I like the fruitiness of it, but Mum's has a more earthy, homemade appeal. And also, it's got my mum's love. So
Yeah.
well done, Mum. You win.
Seconded.
You win. Of course, James agrees. Normally, when we have our Dunk Club, I've got a herb tea from Britain. This is Herbal Defence, so I can deal with
Herbial?
Herbal Defence.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, herbal. Herbal. I got an herbal tea.
No, it's herbal because there's a fucking H in it.
Herb. No, herb. It's a silent H. Hillary. Hillary Clinton. Herb. Anyway, now, James and I usually love discussing movies, don't we? And today it's all about Alien, because we just went and sat through Alien Romulus, didn't we?
Sat through is right.
And we sat through and we also ran through, because I think both of us went to the bathroom about 3 times. It's one of those situations, you know, and of course it's coming out like Morse code. Do, 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 do. I mean, like, you know, when you're gentlemen of our age and then you get back, what did I miss? So James has to fill me in on what I missed. I have to fill him on what he missed.
Yeah.
But James, what did you think?
Well, I went in with, I wouldn't say high expectations, because sadly I'd seen a lot of stuff online from friends' posts and I was like, oh, I'm not gonna watch, but they were none too favourable.
Right.
And I was like, I'm not gonna let it dissuade me, because I'm a very easygoing film viewer.
Yeah.
And I generally like stuff. Now, I gotta say, visually, I thought it looked great. It was very much in tone with the original 1979
Yeah.
and Aliens 1986.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was cool and everything's in line with that. But
Don't worry about them. You can just talk to me.
yeah, I don't know, mate. It was lacking a lot.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand why there were a couple of, and of course I can only think of one at the moment, but there was a couple of throwaway lines in the film that were reference to Aliens, the second one.
Oh, wait,
now this takes place in between Alien and Aliens.
Yeah, meant to, yeah.
Yeah, meant to.
Yeah.
And so things like, get away from her, you bitch.
Right.
I'm like, well, that's a throwback to Alien, and I get why they would throw that in there, but it hasn't happened yet. Do you know what I mean?
No, it's funny. That's a really interesting point, because I didn't see it as that, but I just thought it was something that just totally pulled me out of the film and made me think of Aliens, which I should have been actually focusing on what was going on. So that's a good point.
Yeah.
You know?
And
that was said twice.
yes.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh, we didn't hear you the first time.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
say it again. Make sure that they get it. Now, I'm going to quote one of the things that was said on my friend's post. Why is there nobody above 30 in this film? You know, well, my friend then responded saying, well, if you go back to when Sigourney Weaver made the movie, she was 28.
Right. But you had Brett. You had...
What, in this one?
No.
You had Ian Holm, Yaphet Kotto,
What's his name?
John Hurt.
Yes, you had John Hurt.
I bet he did.
Whatever he did. But the thing is I remember looking as a kid when I saw Aliens, you know, I was like, oh yeah, he looks really old. Now you look at John Hurt back then, you're like, oh my God, he's in his 30s.
Yeah.
It's so funny to see that. I just thought he was so old. But the thing is, what I thought with the cast, it was like Attack the Block. I thought it was Attack the Block Romulus. Right. They were all like London boys.
Yeah.
You all right? You know, I was just like, what?
Yeah.
You know, it's like first one which was made in Britain and the second one which was made in Britain, but you didn't have the oi, 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 all right, my son, put that tongue away.
Right.
You know, it was a bit, oh Christ, you know, here comes a Xenomorph governor.
Right. A friend of ours had pointed out, was like, why is Ian Holm in this movie as bad CGI? And I responded, well, it makes sense because they're technically on a production line.
Yeah, he's a replicant, as it were. Yeah.
So I was like, no, I can forgive that.
I could forgive it, but the problem is as soon as you saw his face, you're straight away like, oh, dodgy CG.
Right.
And it's like, did you use AI here? I mean, I hate to polish AI, but that's one place they probably could have used it.
Right.
And also, why not show his face more damaged? Why not have something to have crumpled it in to really have sold it to us? It was such a pullback. It was as bad as Grand Moff Tarkin. from the Star Wars jobby.
I could forgive that because that was early on. I thought the Grand Moff Tarkin was better than Princess Leia.
Yeah, but I just found those, especially Tarkin, very jarring, and I thought Ian Holm was very jarring. I like the idea, as you said, that yes, they're on a production line, and of course you're going to see the same fucking face.
It's like Terminator Genesis or whatever, and you've got that whole production line of Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Absolutely.
You know,
I'll be back. You know, so there was lots of moments that pulled me out of the movie.
Yeah.
I do think visually, effects-wise, when you're in space, the idea of having the blackness of space and then a ship just appears, it kind of reminds me of the Ron Cobb painting. If you look back at the original concept art that was done for the first Alien, in the book, there's a picture of the Nostromo, early stages of development, and it's kind of appearing out the darkness. And I think you can see the director, whose name, Abe so-and-so, he did a horror film that was set inside a house.
For this director?
This director.
He did the remake of Evil Dead.
He did, but before that he did the film that was set in a house and the bloke was blind, I think.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that one.
What's it called? Be Quiet, Stay Silent.
Yeah, one of those.
Yeah. Anyway, so he did that, and that was a very good film and very atmospheric, and you could see the echoes in that in here. It was a kind of haunted house in space.
Which was what Gene Siskel called it when the original Alien came out.
Right. It all came from the B-2 bomber that Dan O'Bannon, the original story, wasn't it? It was a B-2 bomber and they had gremlins on. And they had to try and work out where these gremlins were and stop it before the plane crashed and so on and so forth.
Didn't know that.
Yeah. So visually, some of the visual effects by ILM were quite stunning in space. And I'd seen online all these photos of the Xenomorphs with these animatronics and these robots. Well, honestly, in the film, you would never know.
No.
I mean, it might as well...
So is that a good thing?
Well, it might as well have been, because the thing is, I think it's a bit of knob polishing. I think really and truly, the original one with the London porter in the suit, forgotten his name, but it was a 7-foot-high Jamaican gentleman.
Mean the Babaji...
Yeah, him.
Whatever. Yeah, he wasn't a porter.
He was a porter.
Was he a porter?
He was a porter.
Oh.
Or was I getting mixed up with the bloke who played Chewbacca?
He was a porter. Yeah, he was a porter.
He was a porter.
Yeah.
Maybe they both were porters. Maybe
the guy that played the original Alien, he was just happened to be in the pub when the casting director was in there looking for it. Yeah. I was reading that the other day. No, I was reading that the other day, and they were like, "Hey, do you want to be in an Alien movie?"
You fancy strapping on this very tight?
And then, of course, years ago, when I was doing some Doctor Who fan films with Kevin Davies, we had interviewed the stuntman, who did the.
You see him hanging from the wires, don't you? What was his name?
Can't remember.
Nice.
But no,
him.
Yeah. So we interviewed him, and that was fun because I was like, "Oh, so not only were you in Doctor Who, but you played the alien." So.
But the thing is that so you had that kind of knob polishing, but I mean, I look at the Xenomorphs, and then of course they tried to show things that you'd not seen before, because in the first film you kind of thought, well, hold on, you know, you got the chest burster, which is still fantastic, and of course in the new one they're going to go, well, we'll have the chest burster, but we'll have like a condom-like foreskin thing pulled back.
So I missed that bit.
Oh, you were in the toilet. Yeah. So you had a foreskin thing pulled back, and I thought, yeah, okay, but I'm sorry to say, you cannot beat the original image in a brightly lit room, this thing coming through. And to me, it looks real. Now, when I saw the Facehuggers, again, they didn't have that reality that the Roger Dickens creations did. Anyway, so you think, how do you go from Xenomorph sausage chestburster and suddenly it becomes a full-grown alien? So they approached that in this, which I thought was cool. And you've got this kind of big vagina hanging off of a wall, and he goes in there and tries to electrocute it. And then it comes out and it spears him with the tail. And I quite like the idea of seeing acid. I would have liked to have seen more. The chap who does it, he gets covered in acid, but I would have loved to have seen the acid just go on his face and just burn all the way through. That's something you want to see.
I mean, they kind of addressed
They held back from it.
Yeah, they did, but they kind of addressed that in Aliens.
Yeah, but the thing is,
but they were wearing the protective suits, but it still went through the suit.
He got it on his face, but this time, because of the technology, they could have really shown the damage. And as a horror fan, I would have liked to have seen that. I thought another idea that they took, and it's all about, look, we've seen it all before. Alien 1, Alien 2, we've seen it. There's nothing new. But so what they're doing is they're baking the same cake, but they're icing it in a different way.
Yeah, sure.
You know, so they show the acid blood in zero gravity, and she has to worm her way through, and that's quite nice. But I would have liked to have seen a little bit more with that. That could have been quite fun. And there's lots of elevator stuff. And, you know, I found myself watching it and thinking, oh, Yeah, they have the rings of Saturn, which are made up of rocks, huge lumps of fucking ice. And one of the main plot points is this ship is heading towards it and it's going to get sand belted to bits. And I love that. Now, you see, when it opens and you see her with the guy who plays the android, I was like, he's an android.
Right.
Because you're meant to believe, oh, he's some kind of companion. I was like, he's an android. And sure enough, whip, hello. You know, it was an android. So there's stuff like that that kind of didn't work for me. But I did find myself wanting to like it. I was like, yeah, okay, oh, yeah. But there was, I can't do it. I can't.
It wasn't Aliens. You didn't get the same feeling that you got with Aliens.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting Aliens. But
no, I wasn't either. But my point was, when you went to see Aliens, you go from Alien, where it's haunted house in space, to Aliens, which is war, and it says so in the tagline. This time it's
military.
War.
It's great.
And it's just an action film. And this is an action film without too much action, and you don't really care for the characters as much.
That's a good point. The best character was the black guy who played. I'm sorry, I can't remember his name.
Andy.
But yeah,
Andy.
You just wiped your face, and did I get you with a bit of cake?
No, you didn't.
Okay. So, yeah, I remember him. I remember the digital Ian Holm. You said there was nobody older. Well, Ian, you know, he's past life now, so he's the oldest, isn't he?
Saying that, there was the person who was in the Weyland-Yutani Corporation that was trying to get off the planet.
Yeah. But that was all...
She was probably 20 and had the heavy makeup. Yeah.
And the thing is, you know, it's funny you talk about that. It reminds me, the aesthetic of it is this kind of acid yellow. But again, when you go back to the original film, I think in direction and in storytelling, what they used to do, they would do a color strip, a temperature, a painted temperature of the movie.
Yeah.
And if you look at the first Alien, if you were to paint it, you would go from the depths of space, you would then go into the shadowy ship, the lights come up, it's white, 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 white. Then we go into emergency landing mode. We're changing into the alien planetoid.
That's a good point.
You know what I mean? Now, in this, it was like acid yellow, acid yellow, acid yellow, acid yellow, white when they get into the lab, back to acid yellow. And I found that it kind of sets me to sleep.
Did it take you out of it?
I guess it took me out of it because I was aware of it. But I was like, I need a change. You know, if you go into the haunted house, you go from bright daylight into the shadows. And I felt like I was in the fucking shadows straight away. You know, that's just how I felt. If you look at Jaws, it's very sunny and seasidey. And then even the color changes there. There's reds introduced and so on and so forth. But here I didn't see any of that. And I like that when I watch a movie. And I felt that it was piss yellow basically throughout. You know, I'm being picky, I guess, but all part of a film for me is very visual. And of course, the whole business at the end. Now, I did find myself enjoying this when she's pregnant and, you know, the womb. It's funny because when they do these shots, you see the legs open and the womb and then the blood. There's always a sense of cheapness. Now, I remember when Ridley did it in Prometheus, he directed it in a way that was really effective, even though it did come out of a stomach.
No, she had a C-section in that.
She had a C-section, that is true. But the way Ridley did it, he did it in bright light, and there was something about that's very memorable. But this, I'm always reminded of some of the cheesy horror films I've worked on. Warlock 2, where we had a pregnancy, a very good makeup effect by my friend Paul Jones, but nonetheless, it's that kind of... But anyway, when the creature came out, of course, we go to Alien Resurrection, which I hated that creature in Alien Resurrection. The design of it absolutely did not resound with me at all. I just found it totally nothing to do with Gigaverse. This, there was an attempt to bring Giga into it. But again, when I saw the head, I was like, oh, they're going for the engineers, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're going for that same...
I was looking at that going, oh, that is actually pretty good.
Right. You saw the ribs. There was kind of...
But it was more the face of it.
And it's But if you look at the body, it was this long, gangly body, which I think it could have been one of his genius ideas. Sorry, Ridley, you are the governor, I am nothing. But nonetheless, I'm an audience member. Right, James? We are audience members. But the thing is when you go to the engineers, as they were renamed, in the first Alien, what was it called? The co-pilot?
It was the pilot.
The pilot. And the idea was that something had broken through, and this fucking pilot was massive. So much so that to make him look even bigger, Ridley used his kids in small suits, right?
That's right.
And then he did the faux pas, I think, of saying, oh no, actually, it's not the pilot, it's an engineer, and he's actually shrunk in size. We put him in the washing machine and he shrunk. And then you now have this allusion to the fact that, hold on, what they were using as bioweapons in Prometheus is actually what happens when you mix the bioweapons with a human. Do you know what I mean? Where was the storytelling, the genesis of this organism? And so I
But
found
you
that...
see that in Prometheus, though.
How so?
Because at the beginning of Prometheus, you see that engineer.
Yeah, he's on Earth.
And he drinks that stuff, and he literally falls apart.
He drinks the bio shit that they've just synthesized. Yeah, but that was millions of years ago.
Right, yeah. There's no,
I'm a bit confused. Call me old-fashioned. However, I did enjoy it because I actually did get a feeling of, oh, okay, this is quite scary. You know, that's quite interesting. We knew she would win. I was wondering what happened to the mum that was pregnant.
He feasted on her.
He did, but you don't know how much because you just saw her head and arms, didn't you?
I figured she was dead.
Well, anyway, I'm just wondering in the sequel, she's like,
yeah.
But overall, I would say what I feel with most Hollywood films now, James.
They're just too much and not much substance.
Is that what you feel?
Okay, my opinion of this movie.
Yeah.
As far as going to see the movie, and thank you for the ticket. Martin very kindly bought me the ticket to go see it.
Not cheap.
But
they actually were.
Actually, yeah. Look, I wanted to enjoy this. I didn't enjoy it as much as I had hoped. I will definitely watch it again when it comes out on streaming. No, just because
Really?
because I'm sure there's things. Well, there were things I missed because I went to the bathroom. So
that's true.
You know, and I remember in the trailer there was that really awesome shot of the way station and the spaceship crashing into the side of it. And I thought, oh, that looks really good.
And it's a great shot.
And I missed that because I was in the bathroom.
Yeah. You were shaking it just then. No, that is true. It's a great
So,
shot.
by the way, little Easter egg, and I don't know if it's true. Again, it was something I saw online. When you see the way station crashing into the rings, I think you can see Ripley's rescue craft just in the background going past the rings.
Right.
With the ships up there and it's down here and then it kind of disappears into blackness.
I'm talking to that. I did notice the little pecker bird.
Yep.
When they're in the little pecker bird from the first Alien.
Yep.
I'm sure you could probably go back and see all that. That's all well and good, but I didn't hate it.
I didn't hate it.
Just like an alien embryo, it needs gestation.
I didn't hate it. I just was like a bit... And I do think a lot of that was me skimming through Facebook and going, oh, I don't want to look at it, and then looking.
No, you can't. It's too much information. There was an actor the other day talking about that. Joe Osment, the bloke who was in the...
Joel Osment.
Yes. He was in The Sixth Sense. Yeah. And somebody asked him, oh, how did you guys hide the end and all that? And he goes, well, back then, 1999... there wasn't all this spoilers.
Right.
They didn't even dream of locking the script up. Yes, of course, they didn't hand it round to the general public. But now, when you get a script, as I've seen, it's red with black writing on. And I'm trying to read the bloody thing, you know, and that's what you get now. And I thought that was quite interesting in relation to what you were saying about all this information on Facebook and Instagram and all this shit you can get. And talking about that wave of information, we saw some trailers there, didn't we?
Oh, my God. So that leads me to a big grumble.
Right, get ready for a tumble. James is making a grumble.
So the film was supposed to start at 10.
I'm over here.
Listen, you've been telling me not to talk to the camera and you just spent the entire time talking to the camera.
Well, that's how I usually talk to you, off the side like this.
I'm looking at you, but talking to him.
That's right.
So the movie is posted to start at 10. So we get there 15 minutes before, and you take your seats and you're watching commercials. And then 10 o'clock comes along and you got commercials. And then 10:15 rolls around and you've got trailers interspersed with commercials that you've already seen earlier because you got there at 9:45. The film didn't actually start till 10:25. So from now on, whenever I go to the movie theatre and it says the movie's starting at a certain time, I'm going to get there at that time. So by the time I get my tickets and take my seats, I've only got 15 minutes to wait. And it means I'm going to bypass all the trailers.
And just to cut in there, I think in the old days, you know, you'd go into the cinema, you'd have a few Westler's hot dogs, popcorn, rah, rah, rah. And then you'd have a commercial or two, and then you get on with the movie. Now it's just so stretched out. You've got all these commercials, they double them up. It's the same old fucking advert. Then on top of it, you have the commercials for the movies, which instead of what it used to be, whereas I say we saw a trailer for Speak No Evil. So surely that should have been like, boom, families made, ha ha ha, then cut to, dun, 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 dun. Boom, you're left in a mystery. No, what they do in this commercial, they actually show you the actual fucking ending almost.
Yeah.
One of the main plot points they show you.
Yeah, and the same with Gladiator 2.
Yeah.
I felt like I saw the whole movie.
Yeah.
I don't need to see it now.
Gladiator 2, sorry Ridley, give me that trailer, I'll cut you one. I'll cut you one, seriously. At the end of it, you're like, I've seen the film, I'm bored.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. And that's a big complaint. That's why I like G-1. We went to a movie house in Glendale where you can buy food, you don't have to, but you know you're going to go in there, you sit down, lights out, boom, you're in the movie.
That's what was good about the ArcLight.
I know. You're in Los Angeles and the fucking place closed and it is not opened.
No, it's not.
So yeah, I hate coming out of the cinema disappointed. Like you, I love film. Alien, when I was a kid, I couldn't see it, but my parents saw it and they brought me back.
Oh, the program.
Well, and the comic version of it.
Oh, wow, okay.
The comic version. You open up one page and there's the massive spread of the chest burster bursting out, all in beautiful pen and ink. And then they went to Forbidden Planet and they had the photo play of it.
I think I've got that down there somewhere in the book.
And that's a classic. It's very valuable now. It's worth about $17. Instead of $5. But it's such a great influential movie. And as Aliens, and Cameron was genius. He took it off in that direction, military. He gave it a new spin that worked. And I think ever since then, they've been struggling to work out what to do with it. And it's a bit like the Terminator franchise. It's like they have Cameron's initial great idea, and then they, okay, well, we'll just repeat it. And I think that's a big problem. Well, they've got the TV series coming out, haven't they, on Hulu?
Alien Earth.
Obviously, the title gives some of the story away.
It's funny because some of the stuff that I've been seeing has been how to watch the films in order. I saw this one yesterday and it said Alien Earth and then the date for when it takes place in the timeline. And I just sat there and go, what's Alien Earth? And of course, it's the title of the series and it takes place before all of this stuff.
Before all?
Yes. It's very strange.
They try and match all this. It's like the Marvel-verse. I mean, the Marvel-verse makes sense because they're all interconnected, as I understand it. I'm not a huge Marvel fan, I'm sorry, but this, it's like you've taken an original film. I mean, Cameron did it quite well because they go back to the planet they discovered in the first movie. That makes sense, 52 years later. But now they're trying to worm it. What have you got there?
So this here is just something I screen grabbed, but it's got the timeline, how to watch
the Alien
in chronological order. And it's got Alien versus Predator, Alien versus Predator Requiem, Prometheus, Alien Covenant, Alien Romulus, Aliens, Alien 3, and Alien Resurrection. But
oh my God,
this one over here...
It's too much work.
I know, right? This one says Alien Timeline, and that says Alien Earth, Prometheus, Alien Covenant, Alien Romulus, Aliens, Alien 3, Alien Resurrection. So that one has the new Alien Earth stuff, and that's 2092. So that's not that far from now.
So, oh no, a hop and a skip. I don't know. It's a bit like the Godzilla show on the TV one they did.
Yes, on Apple TV.
Yeah, they try and create this, what they call it now, not a universe, it's like the wizarding.
The multiverse.
Yeah, the whole idea of entertainment now is we'll take this one IP and then we're going to create these like worlds. Each one is an opportunity. You notice I have to do an executive voice. Each one is an opportunity.
I was an executive once. I never
upon
talked like
a time in the past. And we're dealing with the future and the
Wait,
now.
hold on. If this is a multiverse, I can go back and change.
Yeah. What would you change?
I would try and persuade Chaim not to sell to Disney.
Right. How would you do that? Come on.
How would
you do it? How would you do it? Come on. Come on, pitch me it. Come on.
I can't.
Come on, dude.
I'm not
5 seconds, you're out the fucking door.
door.
And that, gentlemen and ladies, and however you identify, is why. No. Now, back to this. There was that show that dealt with the kaiju and the various monsters from that world.
Yes.
The Godzilla, King Kong, diabolical show.
I actually enjoyed it.
I know you did. And again, as I always say, no infringement on the technical side of it and the creative side are below the line. But the thing is, it's going into this world. They're trying to make it work. I find that a problem. You know, I do.
I think that every movie has ever been made has been made, and now it's just rehashing the same stuff over and over.
It's weird, isn't it? Where's a new Frankenstein? And I mean, a monster that represents where we are now. You know, Mary Shelley in her time period, science, Gothic, you know, poetry, all this kind of stuff, the stormy night on Lake Geneva or wherever they were. And so what's that stormy night now? what is that thing? And I ask myself that because I'm like, well, Martin, where is it?
Yeah.
I've not thought of it. We keep going back to Frankenstein. We keep going back to Dracula. Aliens.
Right.
I think that represents quite a problem in the industry. And by the way, I don't think with artificial intelligence, unless... Now, I mention artificial intelligence
Because you can't stop. You keep going back to it. We've talked
because it's
to
affecting our industry.
Yeah,
And it
well.
might not affect you, but it affects those of us working still in the business. But the thing is that it is a very omnipresent force. But I wonder if it's actually going to really affect storytelling. Because there's only, what was it, 7 stories, according to that geezer that wrote that book, The
Mark
Mythology.
Kermode.
No,
Now, Mark Kermode has a brilliant series on BBC.
He does, doesn't he?
And he basically breaks down all the genres. So yeah, there were 7 episodes, I believe.
Right. But the mythology of storytelling. And the thing is, maybe AI might break us out of that on a positive.
You think?
Oh, it could be. I mean, if you're using AI and you can actually do something with our thought process we hadn't worked out, how to cure cancer or so on and so forth, then why can't you reimagine a way to tell a story? The stories are very basic, aren't they? The hero, the heroine, the villain, and so on and so forth. And this is why you just watched Alien Romulus, but really and truly, you've watched Alien.
Right.
I mean, even the great thing about Alien was that the hero was female.
Yeah.
That was quite fresh back then in a science fiction role.
And strangely enough, looking at most of these alien movies, the heroine is female.
Right.
So, you know. So there you go. So with regards to Alien Romulus, I didn't hate it, but I think I could have waited for streaming.
So it wasn't a snooze fest.
Wasn't a snooze fest.
Right.
Thank you for getting that right.
Yeah.
What did you call it in the movie theatre?
I don't know.
I said, if you're going to quote me, get it right.
Yeah,
It's a
I can't
snooze
remember.
fest. Yeah.
Snore fest?
I don't know. So what did you think ultimately?
Ultimately, I think it's visually quite interesting.
Yep.
They address some interesting ideas. It is worthy of a streaming night with a good pizza. Honestly, don't think it will be remembered. Let's put it this way. We're still talking about Alien and Aliens today, almost 35 years on. And actually Alien almost 40 years on. We will not be talking about Alien Romulus in 5 years' time, I'm afraid to say. And that's the problem, and that's where we are in the film business.
All right, well, there you go. This is our first time doing a video podcast, or snippets thereof, depending on...
We will be editing this heavily, as you can tell by James's umming and ahhing.
Yeah.
It's only James that ums and ahs.
Yeah, I know.
I'm as clear as a bell. Well, it was good seeing the film with you.
Yeah, thank you, mate.
It's good
I
to
appreciate
discuss it.
And the cake was wonderful, both versions.
Mum's better.
What
Much
he said.
better. James said he liked this better, Mum.
I did not. I don't know. Stop throwing me under the bus.
Well, it's not right. She shouldn't give you any. See you, mate.
Talk to you later.
Cheers.
Before we go, we bring you our
Fact check! Fact check! Fact check!
Fact check segment.
Here with the benefit of hindsight,
And editing.
we can own up to our mistakes.
Mate,
Yes.
Fede Alvarez was the director of Alien Romulus.
He did the film Don't Breathe.
That was the title we couldn't figure out.
Yeah, that was the scary sort of haunted house thing, and these kids break in. It's really good.
Yeah, excellent film.
Yeah.
The original alien actor was Balaji Badejo, who sadly passed away at age 39.
Well, he really breathed life into the creature, and that's a young age to pass. Yeah. The stunt man who played Alien, he was mainly strung up on wires and he kind of came down. That was Eddie Powell. I think he was the guy who did Doctor Who stuff as well.
Yes.
He's got a long history.
Yeah, we interviewed him.
Oh, nice.
He was great.
Touched the cloth once again.
And the Sixth Sense...
Who?
The Sixth Sense... The Sixth Sex... Jesus Christ.
Yeah, well, we know where you are, mate. Sixth Sense, lad.
Yes, the Sixth Sense actor that you couldn't remember the name of was Haley Joel Osment.
Right, we got there. Well done. And the wonderful Andy the Android in Alien Romulus was played by David Johnson, and I thought he did a tremendous job.
He was good.
I loved it when his eyeballs rolled up. That was great. Downloading.
All right, that's
All right.
it. I'll see you later.
Cheers.
Bye.
6 sex.
Shut it.